Christine from Patriotism. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for a moment of silence and I pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. DePrevis?
Here.
Ms. Dorsch? Ms. Ferguson? Here. Mr. Hagan?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Ms. Lentz? Mr. Malberger?
Here.
Ms. Valenta?
She's coming on Zoom. So just got Zoom, yeah.
Ms. Wick?
Here.
7 present and 2 absent.
Thank you. Board reports, Mr. Marburger, do you have a board report?
None this week. I gave it last.
Okay, perfect. Kevin, did you have one for foundation?
Just real briefly, yes, the Mars Planet Foundation will have their meeting tomorrow evening, since we met this evening, at starting at 6:30, kicking off the school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to remind all of us that if we don't speak directly into the mic, folks from home won't hear. These are directional mics, so just a reminder.
Hopefully that helps.
John, we do have a municipality meeting this Thursday at 3 p.m. So I'll have more on that at our next meeting.
Thanks, Ms. Wick. Student councils, anyone here from student council this year? Awesome. You can stand on up and give us a student council report. It'd be great.
I'm not like part of that kind of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're not here for a report. Okay,
You're not the elected.
Was there any?
you just dodged. But thanks for being part of student council.
Yes.
All right. Up to the.
Yeah, if you have something you want to share, student council, just go into the mic so folks at home can.
All right, so our family, my name is John Sutton. So we as in my family and with help of Student Council and Key Club, we actually run a fundraiser where we raise money for the veterans living at St. John Specialty Care Center. So every Saturday we go to the Mars Farmers Market and we sell home baked cookies. So yeah, we sell them for $1 a bag and each bag is 2 cookies and we raise money every single year for them. We've been doing it for the past 5 years, would you say? Yeah. Yeah, for the Veterans Fund. So far, we've raised over $5,000 in the past 5 years, and we expect to continue our mission to raise as much money as possible for all the veterans living there. But yeah, we obviously could not have done it without the help of Student Council and Key Club. For they help us bake cookies and they help sell them every single week. Oh yes, and every single year we meet the man in charge of St. John. So we have like this whole ceremony where we hand over the money. Fortunately, last year we were not able to have any other SNUCO members over for COVID and reasons of that sort. But needless to say, we do plan to hand over the money this year at a ceremony, right? Yeah. I'll be trying to see if I can invite all Student Council and Key Club to attend, although I'll first have to check with the man in charge of the whole operation first. So yeah. Oh yeah. So so our last day of selling will be this coming up Saturday. So that will be our last day of fundraising, other than the Apple Fest, of course, which we will be, of course, doing this year. We'll have our own little stand and we'll try to raise money there again. Oh, this year we have raised over $1,000 in total. So, yeah.
What's your best seller?
Our best seller.
Yeah.
Oh, in terms of cookies, this year, a girl in student council made some really good coconut macaroons. No. So
Macaroon's gonna be there this weekend?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So
We have to stop by.
That's awesome.
Thank you, great stuff.
Very nice.
Appreciate that.
Great coaching, family effort.
So we'll move on to public comment on the agenda items. At this time, we will take public comment on agenda items only. This is not a debate. This is not question and answer. This is public comment. So we have a sign-up sheet. I don't know if it's on agenda items or not, so we can go through the list first.
Looks like one here. Karen and Mike Sutton.
Well, you'll each get 3 minutes, so. Yep. So we spend 30 minutes, so it's 9. So it's 7:39. We will be done.
So,
Just state your name and your address,
okay,
and then you'll have 3 minutes.
all right. My name is Karen Sutton. I live at 216 Horseshoe Drive here in Mars. I'm looking at the mission statement. So it's policy 101. And so the vision statement, shared values, promotion of informed, engaged, patriotic citizens. I'm good with that. I think that is wonderful. My comment about the mission statement actually has to do with the current mission statement, to which I believe this is going to be attached to. And it is that the mission of the school district is to create and sustain an educational environment that allows all students the opportunity to realize their maximum learning potential. And my issue with the mission statement is that our school district does not allow our children to realize their maximum learning potential. Right now, my son, this boy right here, is limited to taking 2 courses over the summer throughout his entire high school career. I was told that this was a rule promulgated by the principal at the high school, and the point of it was that some children could not take courses over the summer for whatever reason. So any child that wants to take courses over the summer, they have to be approved by the principal. You are only allowed 2 courses, period. So my son has taken his 2 courses. He cannot take any more courses despite the fact he wants to. And we were told this was because of fairness. Again, some kids can't afford it. Some kids don't have the time. And I find this outrageous that my son, who wants to actually learn something over the summer and put effort into it, is being told by our school district that he can't do that.
You each have 3 minutes. So she still has 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, in our society, we have to look beyond the Mars School District. Our kids, our top performers, maybe the top 20 or 50 students, they're competing against the top students of all the other school districts, not just here in Pennsylvania, like the Fox Chapels, the Mount Lebanons, and the Peters Township to get into the more prestigious universities. So having them do as much as they possibly can, if they want to follow their passion, seems to be the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, our top performers are not competing against, there's some competition here, but they're competing in the real world against all the other top performers of all the other school districts. And as you know that as adults, whether it's in business, we're competing against other companies that do the same kind of work. Same way with students, same way as you go into grad programs, you're competing against other students from maybe even other countries. So let's try to keep this into consideration, that we need to look beyond what we think is, quote, this fairness thing here in Mars with, let's have our students excel as much as they want to so they can get out there and compete with all the other top performers.
Yeah, that was her time. So, if you want another 3 minutes, but you need to state your name and address.
Maybe I'll never reach.
Do you want to talk about it? Yeah, actually.
Did
Okay.
did he want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, just state your
Yeah,
name.
so this is a different topic, but it still is relevant to the situation at hand.
I just need your name and address. I'm
Oh,
in my
oh
office.
yes, my name is John Sutton. I live at 216 Horseshoe Drive, Mars, PA.
Thank you.
So I'm actually first in my class. We'll have the junior class, and my weighted GPA, which is what they use to calculate the class rank, is a 4.66. And my main issue is that during ninth grade, I took these 2 semester-long courses, and they were both regular business courses. Now, I got a 99 in both of them, so needless to say, I did extremely well in them. But the main issue that I have with the GPA system currently is that the maximum GPA I can receive for those courses is 4.33. And that actually decreases, and it hurts my overall weighted cumulative QPA, which is what is used to calculate your class rank, and actually decreases it by about 0.02, which it's not a huge amount, but when you're dealing with the most competitive students in your grade, that can definitely affect your class rank. But in general, so my main issue is that no matter what regular course I take, so long as it's considered a regular course and not advanced or AP or CHS, no matter what I do or how well I perform in that class, it will hurt my GPA. So it kind of discourages me in general to take those types of courses. So for example, I wanted to take accounting at some point in my high school career, but it's a regular class. So it will actually hurt my GPA by quite a large amount, to the point where I actually might decrease in my class rank. So it doesn't really make any sense for me to take it then. So I think that we should have some sort of system where either you make that into a pass-fail system if you wanted to, or like if it's a regular class and you have like an A+ in it, maybe you can have it so that it will not affect your class rank in some sort of fashion. But yeah, overall, I think that the current GPA system works well for all the mid-range students, but at the extremes, it really forces you to only take certain classes. And actually, for my freshman year, it actually would have been better for my GPA if I just took a study hall and have not have taken those 2 regular courses, which is a little backwards to me, but yeah, needless to say. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that pre-signed up for agenda item?
I think Jen McAfee had something that's on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good, how are you? Oh, thank you. Yes, you're.
Can you set the timer, Mr. Kennedy, because I set my phone down?
As soon as you say your name and address, I'll start.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jennifer McAfee. I live at 125 Oak Lane, Mars, Pennsylvania, 16046. Okay, so good evening. I am here once again to speak about the adoption of Policy 101, including the Patriot statements in our Mars area mission statement. To begin, I'm going to pass out what I handed you was the PA state law as it pertains to Act 14. Looking at the facts included in the law that was passed in 1949, you should notice it includes all of the information you are proposing to add to our Mars area mission statement. No other school district in the area has ever added these statements to their educational mission that I can find, because it is part of the PA school code, which dictates how schools conduct business. Attached, you'll also find, if you flip to the second pages back, current laws on the Pledge of Allegiance and patriotism in general, as the Supreme Court has heard numerous cases on it. West Virginia's State Board of Education versus Barnett is the gold standard when it comes to the Pledge of Allegiance and kids being able to say it or not say it in a classroom. When an individual pursues a degree in education, they take a course in school law. Their prospective teachers learn the PA school code. We learn important Supreme Court decisions and various federal, state, and local laws in education. In 21 years of teaching, there isn't one teacher I can name that doesn't say the Pledge of Allegiance each morning. I say it all 192 days. And it is missing an American flag in their classroom, because we all have them, or neglects to teach patriotism in the curriculum, which is usually found in the early levels of learning. Most high schools, like mine, offer American government, which continues this theme and focuses on issues associated with how the government works. These Patriot statements Mars is considering making part of their mission statements are items that are already addressed in curriculums across the Commonwealth. If we had a curriculum director here at Mars, I would ask them to verify what I'm telling you, but we cut the position in June of 2020 to save money and not raise taxes. So you're going to have to take my word for it. That's where we teach it at, is in a curriculum. My final point about Policy 101 concerns social theories, end quote. All of the items listed are conspiracy theories, not social theories, and most importantly, not in the Mars curriculum. A June 2021 survey conducted by the Association of American Educators, a nonpartisan professional group for teachers, appeared to suggest that the dialogue on CRT made by lawmakers and the media does not reflect the reality of what's happening in American classrooms. Last week, I defined the differences between the two, but over the past week, I've thought about how to make this point to you effectively. So I decided a quick experience might help you. I have a Bachelor of Arts in History, and 90% of what you're talking about is in what would be in my curriculum for what I teach, which we teach none of. I interviewed Eva Moses Core. She is one of the Holocaust survivors of Dr. Joseph Mengele and his experiments on twins in Auschwitz. While interviewing her, I asked her the question, what is the one thing you want students and teachers alike to remember about the Holocaust? And Eva said, to never let it happen again. My concern that the way that this policy is written may prohibit stories like Eva's from being told. I am asking this board to please not embarrass the Mars School District, the community it serves, the students that learn this curriculum in classrooms, and revisit the mission statement and make it about kids learning, but most of all centered around education and what we can achieve as a district. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's pre-signed up to agenda items?
Tina Wilson.
Can you hear me? Tina Wilson, 105 Good Luck Lane. I'm actually here in support of 101 in the manual, policy manual. I think it's important that the school reiterate the importance of being an American and supporting America. I love that you say the Pledge of Allegiance and have the flag, the national anthem being played at your sports events. I have to say, the grandkids and I, we live close enough when there's a sporting event, we actually hear it. We're out in the yard and we all stand and put our hand over our heart and sing it with you. So I think that's very, very important. On the fact of voting, I think even though the parents should be influencing their children, the importance of votes, I have to say at my age, and I'm old, the school influenced me since the age of 18 when I registered to vote. I have not missed not one primary or general election since the age of 18. And the school had a huge influence on that. So I applaud this 101. Now, on the theories, I think that the only things that should be taught in school are actual facts and history. I think it's important that you have added those theories and that they be brought before the school board, as well as the administration, that they be voted on before they're presented to our youth. We're Americans, we're all equal. And I love this country. I love this school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else sign up? No one else is pre-signed up?
Nothing that I know of for
So in the
agenda
room,
items.
in the room, is there anyone who wish to have public comment on agenda items at this point? Come on up and state your name and your.
Hi, I am Kyle Morrow. I live at 443 Elder Court in Mars. I have two 4-year-old twin girls who are going to be joining the school district soon. Pretty excited about that. My wife is also a teacher and my mother's been involved in education for 30 years. I am definitely in support of 101. Came to the meeting today just to kind of see the overall temperature on the issue, I guess. What I guess I'd like to say is I really do believe, and I think that the spirit of the way that it is written, honestly is inspiring to me, specifically because it's saying that we're all equal and we're all in this together. We're all Americans. And I think that some of the ideologies that were outlaid in that don't necessarily reflect that ideal. And so I don't think that anyone is saying with 101, hey, you can't teach this, you can't teach that, you have to think a certain way. I view it to be completely the opposite of that. You're saying, hey, there's all sorts of ideas. We're not going to say that one idea is better than another idea, but here are some ideas that are being propagated throughout school districts. And if they're going to be taught here in an aggressive way, it's something that should be brought to the attention of the school board. So to me, I think that there's maybe much ado about nothing to some degree on the wording of 101. So in general, I'm totally in support of it, and I hope it passes. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience wish to have a comment about agenda items, sir?
Gabe Davis, 404 Hilltop Court. I just moved here a few months ago. I'll keep this real quick. I moved here. I have 2 kids that are out of school. Then I had a late one, so I've got girls start kindergarten. I moved here for low taxes, and I picked this school district because it's conservative or viewed conservative from what I found out. So I support this, and I support any conservative views because I'm not going to name them all because I'll just encompass it with that. And I like where the school district is, the things I've heard about it. And if this school district travels down the road that a lot of this country's going, then I'm going to have to spend $120,000 in private school. And I don't want to do that. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on agenda items at this point? You've already, yeah, you had your 3 minutes. So the rules, I guess I should have expressed that earlier. You can have a chance at the end of the meeting if we still have time. So you can speak one time. So does anyone else in the audience wish to have public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to Zoom. Is there anybody out on Zoom world there wants to have a public comment? No one on the Zoom? All right, so at this time, we will move on with the agenda. On the main agenda, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Kevin, second.
So I have a first and second. Board comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So that passes. Under addendum number 1, under personnel, numbers 1 through 11. Have a motion?
So moved. Sally.
Christine, second.
So I have a first and a second. Board comment, questions?
To welcome all the new paraprofessionals.
Judy, you got a second, correct?
Just glad to see us filling those para positions.
It's great to see we're starting to get real close to school, so it's good to see we're starting to get some of those positions filled that we needed. Any other board discussions or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. On the main agenda under finance, I get a first and a second for numbers 1 through 16.
Christine first.
Is Kevin second?
So I have a first and a second. Board questions, board comments? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. So that passes. On the main agenda under programs, can I get a motion for number 1?
Anthony, so moved.
Dale, second.
Any board discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Programs pass. So moving down to policies. Can I have a motion to approve number 1?
Christine, so moved.
Dale, second.
So I have a first and a second. Board discussion, comments?
We're removing class size policy, is that correct, from 26? Because that hasn't changed.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not on.
It's not on the agenda.
All right, I must be looking at an old agenda. I
Yeah, that was
apologize.
related. Yeah, so the policies 323, 219, 248, and 249. Any other board discussion, comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So that passes. Under policies number 2, can I have a first and a second?
Dale, so moved.
Sally, second.
So I have a first and a second. This is policy 101. Board discussion or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend some of the wording of the policy as it's posted as follows. They're just some minor changes based on community feedback. It was under the promotion of patriotism to add a definition of patriotism. It's a Merriam-Webster definition, just to find that. And in the last paragraph, under the discourse, it says both sides of political issues supported by primary and balanced secondary sources. I think it speaks to some of the questions today. Shall be presented to permit students to be well-informed and able to make their own decisions regarding political and/or other controversial issues. One of the other changes is we split up the examples to better fit the categories. So this section would be changed to further. This policy shall ensure that social theories, gives a couple of examples, and conspiracy theories, a couple of examples, are not presented to students unless approved by the board of school directors.
Second, Kevin?
So we have to pass that motion. So we have a motion to amend. So any other board discussion about the amendment? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So amendment passes. Now the policy, now it's been amended. And I have a first and a second on that.
Dale, so moved.
Sally, second.
Okay, now board comment questions.
Just like to thank the public for their input on this. It was great to hear much of the feedback and be able to incorporate some of the questions and changes into the policy. So thank you.
For clarification, when will the updated and revised policy be posted and available for public review?
I'm told Josh will post it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any other board comment questions?
This is Dale. I would just simply say that patriotism is not controversial.
Dale, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I'd be happy to repeat it. Patriotism is not controversial, period.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the board. There's a lot of time spent on this. People think it just happens. It doesn't just happen. There's reasons why everything happens. And there's a lot of good people up here that made this policy possible. But I have a first and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Dorsch? Ms. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Mulberger,
Yes.
Ms. Valenta,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Mr. Pettis,
Yes.
that's 7 yes and 2 absent.
Thank you. So under policies, we have a policy 237.
Yes, Mr. Kennedy, I'd like to make a motion to amend policy 237. That is the district technology policy, to amend it primarily in attachment 2 to reduce the fee to $50 and other corresponding changes that need to be updated. I'm sorry, yes, the insurance fee. Language needs updated. And to waive the 30-day review period so this can be implemented before the start of school.
So you're making that motion on 237?
Yes. Yeah, there's all kind of updates that we need to do.
Right, we're good. And can I have a second before we have a discussion?
Christine, second.
Now we can have discussion, sorry.
Question about when that's actually going to be posted.
No, I'm assuming as soon as we can get the corrections made, it will be posted. Not sure if you caught me, Christine, that we are waiving the 30-day review because we want to get this implemented prior to school starting, since that's coming up.
Yeah, that's great. I just think it's really important that the information get out there as soon as possible, because there's been a lot of public concern about those fees. And I think this is movement in the right direction. I think we will want to let people know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, time is of the essence. We had a $100 fee. We're reducing it to a $50 insurance fee. And yeah, we'll need to announce that like ASAP. That's why we made the revisions this evening. We didn't have time to wait. So parents can look forward to, and students, that announcement coming soon.
Grades 5 through 12.
5 through 12.
Any other board discussion?
Just to clarify, it's changing from a tech fee to an insurance fee. There's self-insurance, and that is based on, for folks that would like to take them home. And that is based on just looking at our costs for replacements and damage and things like that. So, and it is very much in line with a lot of the other school districts in the area. So glad to see us able to adjust that for everybody.
All right, so under policies number 3, it's policy number 237. I have a first and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? So that carries. It was Kevin was the first and Christine was the second on Zoom.
Yep.
You good, Jim? All right. Moving on to others. On the main agenda, under others, numbers 1 through 7. I have a first and a second.
Anthony first.
Kevin, second.
The first and a second. Board discussion, comments? Looks like we're having a lot of trademark updates. Any other board discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? So that carries. Unless I missed anything, which I don't think I did. Please say voting for the agenda. Move on to public comment. I have an open forum right now. So is there anyone that has signed up to have public comment open forum?
Tara Bartolomucci. Hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I did not.
Again, we'll give you, it'll be 3 minutes. We will go 30 minutes. So it looks like we will just say your name and address.
Yes, my name is Tara Bartolomucci, and I reside at 105 Winfield Manor Drive in Mars. Everyone has the same goal of full-time in-person school instruction. This is a win-win outcome for everyone. It provides the best learning environment for students. It's the most effective teaching environment for the teachers, and it allows parents to go to school, parents to go to work consistently. It allows children to develop their social skills and can improve their mental health. All of us should want to make every precaution possible to ensure the continued success of full-time in-person instruction. The bottom line is that the experts have confirmed that the Delta variant is nearly twice as contagious as previous variants. And in an environment where people are unvaccinated and unmasked, it's now estimated Delta could spread from one person to 5 to 7 other people. Based on the latest policy on the district website, 4 of the 5 schools would be closed for deep cleaning with 5 positive cases, and all 5 schools would be closed with 6 positive cases. The result is that children are in and out of classrooms, a lack of consistency and stability in their schedules, and taxpayer dollars going towards repeated school cleanings instead of being reinvested in our children's education. Masking is an easy, safe, and effective way to reduce exposures and school closures. It requires no additional cost to the district or parents and was utilized last school year, so the students are already accustomed to this practice. Children under 12 are not yet eligible to be vaccinated, yet the district has removed and deprioritized precautionary measures in the schools, even though, per the district website, 54.3% of Mars students are either under the age of 12 or attend school in a building with other students under the age of 12. Through June 3rd, the district website reported 171 COVID positive students and 35 positive staff, with 1,880 students and 87 adults needing to have been quarantined. What will this school year look like without masks? How many students will be quarantined? How many unvaccinated students will become ill? How often will the schools be shut down? And how often will parents need to take off work or scramble for childcare? In the first few weeks of the school year, multiple schools in multiple states have already had to close due to COVID outbreaks. What did they have in common? They all had a masks optional policy. The CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics recommends universal indoor masking for all teachers, staff, students, and visitors to K-12 schools, regardless of vaccination status. At last week's meeting, one of the board members commented that the board isn't qualified to make a decision on masking. So, isn't the easiest and most logical solution to follow the experts' guidance, especially as Butler County has now moved into the CDC's highest category of community transmission? I understand you don't want to upset part of your voter base by mandating masks, but you know that no matter what path you take, you will upset some part of the voter base. You may have, say, 50% of the students or of the parents for a mask mandate and 50% for mask optional, but you will have 100% of the parents upset if kids keep quarantining at home and schools are shut down for cleaning. We've already seen how mask optional policies are playing out in other schools, and we cannot afford to wait for a directive from the state that may never come. Please do the right thing for our children in the community, adhere to the experts' recommendations, and help keep our schools open as much as possible. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to sign up to wish to have public comment?
David Smolinski.
Just one reminder as folks are getting up, this is, everybody has the right to speak here, and really would be better off if people didn't make any back and forth between people. Everybody has the right to come up to the mic and give their position. If you'd like to speak, come up to the mic and make that known, but let's please let everybody say their piece and have their time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Smolinski. I'm chiropractor. I've been practicing.
What's your
35
address?
years. I'm sorry.
What is your address?
1657 Chapel Ridge Lane. So I came here in support of the non-mask mandate, and it's probably appropriate timing. The CDC has recently admitted, as did the FDA, that they cannot, the PCR test cannot, I repeat, cannot distinguish between COVID and the common flu. That's why they are scrambling to try to get a test that actually does. Dr. John Malone actually developed the PCR test. He stated from the beginning that those tests could not be run at more than 17 cycles. Beyond 17 cycles, they are picking up dead RNA from other vaccines that have been distributed across the country over the last 12 years. Over 17 cycles, you're literally picking up nothing that is even close to being a live COVID virus. For informational purposes, the government has been running those cycles at 70 cycles since the beginning. The day after the inauguration of Biden, they reduced the cycles to 40 cycles, and the CDC came out the very next day and said of the 220,000 cases of COVID at that time, only 6% were actually due to COVID. Being that the PCR test cannot determine the difference between COVID and the common flu, therefore it's impossible for there to be a Delta variant that has also been distinguished, because any variant of any virus that occurs is always weaker. It may be more transmissible, but it is always weaker than the virus that came before it. So Having a mask on your child literally not only is useless, but it is harmful. We know for a fact that the worst bacteria and germs are in the mouth. If you don't believe that, any of you mothers be willing to take your child's underwear that they wore the day before and the mask they wore the day before, send them out for analysis, and I guarantee you they will come back with more germs. During the Spanish flu of 1917, it's been now known and stated that the vast majority of people that died of bacterial pneumonia from wearing the masks. So that brings me to the purpose of the masks themselves. The only way that I can give a good description of how these masks don't work is that the openings in the mask, the porousness of the masks, would be the equivalent of having a hula hoop and trying to stop somebody throwing a marble through it. Literally, thousands and thousands of viruses can ride in on one gas molecule. So if air is getting through those masks, viruses are getting through those masks. Therefore, we're dealing with a common flu. Also, this is the prime time that children regain and people in general regain their immunity. There has never, ever been a virus that's ever lasted more than 8 seconds in direct sunlight.
Thank you.
James Benninger. Wasn't it James Benninger?
James Benninger.
Okay. Jennifer McAfee.
Wait, if he's on Zoom.
Was he on
If
Zoom?
He's pre-signed up.
Okay.
Hello, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, just state your name and address and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. James Benninger. I live at 504 Pine Bluff Drive in Mars, PA. I wanted to state that I could not say it any better than Tara did. I'm a big proponent of masking mandates, and I think that you cannot see anything better than what you've seen in the news in the last couple of weeks and the schools that have gone away with the masking and the detrimental effects that that's had. If you look at the pros and cons of what you were talking about, the likelihood of not masking our children and having the virus spread increases exponentially. You know, if we trust their CDC and we trust the scientists, we trust the epidemiologists, we trust the doctors that do this day in, day out, they will tell you that the masking helps. The masking works because you have less droplets that get out onto the surfaces, onto the kids, onto their hands. And if you get rid of these masks, I guarantee you'll likely have to reverse course. You're going to have to clean the schools. And just like Tara said, you're going to have the kids back at home, and it's going to be a mess. I'm not stating that it still may not happen, but I think it's a mistake. The virus doesn't care about your freedoms, your policies. I understand it's an inconvenience. I don't like wearing them either. I'm sure my kids hate it all day, but ultimately you don't have a say in that, and it doesn't care about your politics or your policies or your freedoms. It's just a virus. It's unthinking. It's going to spread. So I'd like to support reinstating a mask mandate until more of the community gets vaccinated and we're able to finally, get past this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jennifer McAfee, I believe she left.
She spoke once.
Okay. No problem. Kathy Lazar.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kathy Lazar, and I live at 164 Old Glade Mill Road.
And I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name.
That's fine.
Lazar.
Everybody does. They call us Laser, but it's Lazar. Anyways, obviously, I'm not here because I have a student in school. I graduated 2 daughters from the district a long time ago, but I have grandchildren, 4 beautiful grandchildren. And I'm here on behalf of them because when I see them coming to me crying already because they don't want to come to school now because they don't want to have to wear a mask all day because my one grandson can't see through his glasses because his face steams up. And contrary to the people that believe in the masking, and they have the right to do that, I have done extensive research for the last 18 months or so. I go according to the American Frontline Doctors and many researchers, and it's proven that the masks don't work. And where did the flu go last year? There was no cases of flu because the PCR test did not pick that up. We're going to see the flu this year because they're coming out with a new test that's going to prove that they can differentiate both of them. It breaks my heart for kids. Now, as a former educator in the past, I know as mandated reporters, educators are required to report child abuse, or you pay penalty and fines. Now, wearing masks on children, forcing them to breathe in their own air, their own carbon dioxide, come home with headaches. My grandson came home with acne on his first grade face. That is child abuse when you look at it. It's physiologically abusive and it's psychologically abusive because I understand people are afraid of a virus. It's real, but it has a 99.8% chance of non-fatal problems unless you're elderly and have very bad comorbidities. Yeah, people have died from that. People die from pneumonia in nursing homes. People die from the flu. There have been more cases of flu that have killed children than cases of COVID. And as a fact, I know of several people right now that have been vaccinated that are now testing positive for COVID. And it's the Delta variant. And the reason being is because, yes, it's more transmissible, but it's less deadly. And that's been proven. And if you look up the research, the American Frontline Doctors, there are 1,000 doctors coming together globally to prove that masks don't work and to prove that you have to, I guess what I'm saying, I'm getting upset here because it depends on the news you watch. If you watch alternative news, you'll get the facts. If you watch the mainstream media, you're going to be fed a lot of propaganda and they are creating a lot of fear that doesn't need to happen. I feel sorry for everybody who's so afraid that they would mask their kids out of fear and cause kids to be afraid. That's child abuse. And with that, I rest my case.
Thank you. Okay, Gary Lazar.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm going to talk into this, whether you want to hear me or not. First of all, I want to say God bless America. This is the United States of America, not the Chinese regime, okay?
Gary, can you just give me your name and address to keep me out of trouble?
I want to make sure you hear me.
I can hear you. I just need to hear your name and address.
I had a hard time hearing you back there, so now you can hear me up here. Okay. 164 Old Glade Mill Road, Valencia.
Thank you.
I've been paying school taxes for over 40 years, so add that up. I have something to say. My grandkids are going to be going to school here. There's no reason for them to wear a mask. If you can prove to me that a mask works, then tell me so. I guess nobody can they? So, I like Marburger milk too. Okay. But these kids, they have to grow up in this school. And this is their identity, for people to see their faces, not see a mask. We're not Muslims. We're Americans. We're patriots. I agree with Dr. Dave back there too. I've known him for many, many years. And my wife too. Because we talk about this every night. We watch TV every night, listen to the true news, not this fake media crap. But I just want to say that these masks should not be worn in school because it's not solving anything. It's not preventing anything. And the people that are wearing masks outside that, what are they proving? Not proving anything to me. Does anybody have a question for me? I guess not. Okay. Thank you for your time. God bless America.
Thank you. Angela Heisman? Hersman, I just asked and I apologize.
That is fine. I'm at 139 Vista Ridge Lane. I'm here today to speak against the mandatory masking of our children in the Mars School District. Healthy individuals under the age of 18 rarely have serious illness from COVID-19. According to the CDC, the total COVID deaths since January 2020 for ages 0 to 17 in the US are 354. In Pennsylvania, the number is no more than 9. And most, if not all of these children had serious comorbidities. Per FDA.com, while a surgical mask may be effective in blocking splashes and large particle droplets, a face mask by design does not filter or block very small particles in the air that may be transmitted by coughs, sneezes, or certain medical procedures. Per the American Institute for Economic Research, face masks do not function after 20 minutes due to saturation, and they're only effective while dry. I'd like to point out that the mask issue is highly political. There are many examples of high-level political figures who have issued mask mandates for their constituents and then were photographed not wearing masks in large social gatherings. When they think no one is looking, they resume normal life while the rest of us are not allowed. This behavior clearly shows they either don't believe there is a dangerous pandemic or they do not believe that masks work. While many people are demanding that we mask our children, they never talk about the physical damage they cause, such as low oxygen levels, dangerously high levels of carbon dioxide buildup, increased heart rates, increased viral and bacterial loads in the lungs, increased dental decay, MRSA, impetigo of the face, reduced immune function, etc. Parents in Florida sent their children's masks for testing, and these masks were found to contain MRSA, Legionnaire's disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and many more disease-causing organisms. In addition to the physical harm, there are severe mental health consequences from mask wearing. Mental health issues are at an all-time high, especially for children. A good friend relayed to me her experience witnessing a group of children playing outside, some masked and some not masked. The masked children don't run, they don't play with others, they don't laugh with delight. They are sullen and don't interact. When you mask a child, you have stolen their voice and their identity. They are not developing socially and emotionally. Young children have extremely high anxiety from the masks and the mitigation efforts. What are they to think when they are told others are toxic and they need to stay away? They are afraid to be human. We are forcing a device on their face that destroys their spirit. This is going to be a lost generation, and the people masking children are directly responsible for this. And to what end? The chance that a child will have a serious illness from this disease is extremely low, and there have been studies proven that they're not carriers of this disease. According to PA Child Protective Services law, interfering with the breathing of a child is defined as child abuse. To wrap up, please don't allow misguided, politically motivated individuals convince you to continue to destroy our youth. Please stand strong and allow the parents the choice to decide what is best for their own children. Thank you.
Timed that well because it just went off. Thank you.
Karen and Mike Sutton.
They'd spoke
They're good?
once, yes.
I'm sure. Okay. Barbara Mansfield.
Barbara Mansfield, 136 Elgins Lane, Evans City, Pennsylvania, 16033. I would like to address the current policy of optional masking and social distancing in our schools. I appreciate the frustration of the board as the weight of these policy decisions has been placed on your shoulders, but the guidance from the CDC, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and the American Academy of Pediatrics is clear, and I'm struggling to understand why that guidance is not being followed. The guidelines for universal masking and social distancing in schools is not conditional on transmission levels in a given area, but as you are aware, Butler County as of yesterday has moved to a high level of transmission, lending even more urgency to this matter. With regards to the school's right to make a universal masking policy, Governor Tom Wolf specifically urged schools to align with and follow all guidance issued by the CDC. This includes universal masking. Other schools in our area, including most recently North Allegheny and Pine Ridge, have adopted policies to mandate universal masking and social distancing in their schools. As to those who state that parents should have the right to choose whether or not their child masks, I would like to say that parents' rights are very important. However, that right should not impact the health of others. As an analogy, smoking in public places, including the teacher's lounge, used to be allowed. But that changed when the detrimental effects of secondhand smoke were discovered. A person who chooses not to mask increases the risk to those around them, as masks have been shown to substantially decrease the amount of respiratory droplets which carry the COVID virus into the air. Mask wearing is more about protecting others than it is about protecting the wearer. Why are the rights of those who choose to follow the guidelines less important than the rights of those who do not? I would like to state that reports that mask wearing is harmful have been found to be false by reputable scientific and medical organizations. The American Academy of Pediatrics website, healthychildren.org, has an article which provides evidence-based information about mask wearing and concludes that masks, quote, are safe and effective for anyone over the age of 2 years old, unquote. Consider that for many years, surgeons have been regularly wearing masks all day without coming to harm. As for those who cite ADA concerns, a universal masking policy can and should come with accommodations. Guidance for ADA considerations is given by the CDC. I would urge the school board to seriously consider what is happening in other areas of our country as schools have reopened without universal masking and social distancing mandates in place. A single school district in Florida has over 5,500 students and 300 teachers in quarantine or isolation due to COVID-19. How many other schools have already had to return to online learning? How many children have fallen ill? At Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., of 2,900 children treated for the disease, more than 550 were hospitalized and 175 ended up in intensive care. I don't think any parent wants their child to be part of those statistics. Finally, while I appreciate the survey sent out by the school district, critical questions were not asked. Ultimately, the issue about mask wearing and social distancing is not about what decision is most popular. It is about what is necessary for our kids to return safely to school and for schools to remain open. The experts are clear that universal masking and other mitigation procedures are necessary. I would respectfully ask what matters more than keeping our children safe and healthy and keeping our schools open. And if this decision is not made, what is the rationale for not following the guidelines that have been given by these countries' experts? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Apologize with the name. Gianfrancesco. Hope I said that right. Apologize if not.
Yeah, it's Jennifer Gianfrancesco. I live at 211 Gabriel Drive in Mars. I am going to speak about the mask mandate conversation we've been having. We've seen other school districts, both locally and across the country, make the decision not to mandate masks, even though the CDC has recommended this. School teachers and students who have not been wearing these masks in some of these districts are now facing the issue that they've had hundreds of students and teachers now contract COVID or have been exposed to COVID, thus forcing them to either close or having to go back to virtual learning. The goal right now is to keep our kids. Everybody wants our kids back in school and not have to go back to this virtual learning or LSI. If we're wanting to do that common goal, by not endorsing the mask mandate, we may find ourselves, it might be a week, or could be a month, back to where we were last year. The Delta variant is affecting younger people, and by not having the mask mandate, how are we going to keep our kids safe and keep them in school? There's a lot of disinformation that's being shared, including comments from several people here in the room this evening. I've never seen so many people want to put the health of their kids at risk, and our current county is now in a high risk for COVID. The school is very concerned about the school's dress code and whether a girl can wear a shirt with straps. Yet when it comes to protecting our children's health, there's this huge debate about whether the kids should have a mask on. Politics should not be the driving force behind this decision. And I'm requesting the school board to keep the mask mandate in place to protect our children. I certainly hope that those who are against the mask mandate never have to experience the loss of a family member due to COVID. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Teresa Rhodes.
Hi, Teresa Rhodes, 315 Clay Avenue, Mars. I don't have anything prepared. You all have heard a lot from me the last week. I'm just going to speak kind of from my heart as a mother and also as an ICU nurse that's worked in a cardiothoracic ICU for 15 years. This isn't a joke. I lived here my entire life. I grew up here. I love Mars. I chose to raise my family here because I love Mars. I have 2 young children, one of whom unfortunately is immune compromised. He deserves in every aspect to have a great education, just as his sister does. I chose to send them to school last year because I trusted them with you Great. I can't do that this year. I can't send my kids to school because you're choosing not to protect them. There's no option for my son to be educated in Mars this year. There's no option for him. There's no LSI. How can I send him into a room full of unmasked children? He could put on a mask. It's not going to protect him if there's 24 other children that are not masked. Masked children are not sullen. Their joy is not taken. My children all compete, participate in activities. They dance. They win national titles. They're happy children. I'm here to tell you that I would invite the doctor that spoke earlier to come to my cardiothoracic ICU and try to run it. I invite him to. I would invite any chiropractor to come to my ICU and try to see these sick patients on ventilators. It might change their mind. It has been disgusting to me to see the eye rolling, the looks when people are coming here begging you to make a good decision based on good scientific research for their children, not news sources of any kind. Scientists, infectious disease doctors, the CDC, the AAP, local pediatricians are begging for this so they don't have to treat their patients in a hospital setting. It's happening. It hasn't happened here yet because our kids aren't back in school. I am trusting you with my children. I am begging you. Please allow my children to get an education this year. This is where I want them to be, but I cannot send them here like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina Wilson. Oh, that's right. I apologize. I can't read, but I try. I guess we will go. Beth Ziegler.
Beth Ziegler, 2039 Golden Grove Drive, Mars, PA. I'd like to thank you guys first for speaking into the microphones. So I know you're reading my emails and I appreciate that. I think we can go round and round, whether, 50-50 split, whether you think masks are child abuse or whether you think masks are life-saving. We've been trying to, my husband and I have been trying to get an answer for weeks. We're 1 week out from school. What is the quarantine policy going to be when a child tests positive for COVID, particularly given that PDE has recently said that if all the children are masked, they can stay in school? Because we were extremely pleased last year that Mars offered 5-day in-person learning and kept our kids in school. The only way we're going to do that is to keep them masked because these kids are going to transmit this virus. Do you guys have a plan yet? What you're going to do for quarantine? Are you still figuring it out? Because people need to start making childcare arrangements for the inevitable quarantines that are going to happen if we don't mask them. We're a week out, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna summarize again. This is not question and answer, so.
I know, but I've sent multiple
We'll give you-
emails and you
we're
guys
gonna-
don't
We're
answer.
gonna give a summary.
How else do I contact?
We'll give a summary when we're done with public comment and in the administration reports is when we're gonna give a summary.
Okay, thank you. It's like I've said, 3 or 4 emails, no answer. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time, well, we have half a time for one more person. So one more public comment we should have this evening. That's not signed up. That was the last sign up, correct? And we have one. Or do this and that.
There's one up here and then one.
We will take the one in person and the one on Zoom. So,
Hi,
sorry.
my name's Heather Seagrave. I live at 148 Windermere Drive. I don't have any fancy speeches. I'm just a mom. I have a little girl going into kindergarten, a boy going into 2nd grade. And my 2nd grader, I'd mentioned that we might have to do masks again this year, buddy. And he broke down and started to cry. And he told me, Mom, if I have to wear a mask again, I don't want to go to school. I want to stay home and I want you to teach me here. My son has this fluency. For him, it's so hard being masked with stuttering. It's made his stutter so much worse. He has horrible headaches. He comes home every day with headaches. He's not had a headache all summer. He's the one that they mentioned that has acne on his face. My son doesn't usually get acne. It's just really sad to see the joy that has left his eyes about school. He used to love school, loves playing with kids. It just made him really antisocial. And my daughter, she has always puts him with her mask when she had to wear them out and about. So I don't know how really clean that is when kids are putting them in their mouth, moving things around anyways. It just breaks my heart to see them all just lose their smile. I know myself when I'd be out in stores and we had to wear masks, people don't even look at each other right. You just stare at people. And that's what's happening to our kids. It breaks my heart. My kids have been playing at playgrounds all summer without masks with other kids. My kids aren't sick. We're here tonight. I've been in public settings without masks. We're not sick. So it's just, it's the question of whether or not, we need to cover our children up or whether we need to just give it a shot and see how things go. I'm definitely in favor, of course, the no masks, just because of what my kids have gone through, especially my son. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to have, there's one person sign up, Jordan. If you could state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, Heather Raybold, 604 Valencia Road in Mars. I'm not going to talk about the mask this evening, but I really just wanted to first start by wishing all the teachers, the staff, and the students a wonderful and safe year. I know the board has a really hard decision to make regarding plans for the year, so I wish you the best in that. I also want to thank the district for surveying the stakeholders on ways to use the ESSER funds. I hope there's going to be more information shared by the superintendent, but based on the agenda from this evening, it appears that the funds are going to be truly used to support student learning loss. And I just want to say thank you for doing what's right and for providing additional support for the students that have lost out the most. I'd also like to thank you for reducing the tech fees and considering the impact that these ongoing fees have on the families. It's nice to see that the decision makers are listening to the stakeholders. So I just wanted to say thank you because you are reading our emails. I think you are listening to the community. And so thank you very much for that. Have a good school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that'll conclude the public comment for this evening. So we're going to move on to MAEA. Is there someone from the association available to speak? Anyone from MAEA? Representative? It's the last chance to speak before school starts. Seeing none, I'll go on to administration. Dr. Gross.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of things. We had induction this week, and it was wonderful to actually talk education, and we got to meet our new staff, and I know they're very excited. I want to share with the board and the folks that we have coming into the district to be very proud of. I was very impressed by that. So it was nice to talk education for once, which on July 20th, when we were talking about coming back to school and no masks, and it seems like so many things have changed since then with CDC and that type of thing. Right now, kindergarten orientation's going on. Lots of smiles. So I hear from our assistant superintendent, it's going well, and in the other buildings. So it's nice to see that we're coming back and we're trying to get back in the business of educating. I want to once again thank everyone for being respectful. I do want to apologize with the comments that no one's getting back to us. I've emailed you numerous times. That is a true statement. Absolutely true. I apologize, but this issue with masking has been so complex and the pressures on all sides have been great. I don't know who's right or wrong. I do know one thing, we are in this business to educate. So we're going to focus on education and let the physicians do their thing because I can't do what you do. I'm not trained in that. It's been very painful. With the current plan, I need to explain this very clearly. Let's all be a community and understand one thing. You all care about the exact same thing. The number one priority is your children. We all parent differently. How I may have parented my child may not be how you parent yours. No one here is wrong. You know why I tell you you're not wrong? Because we're not medically qualified to say whether you're wrong or not. And you can go to studies all over the place. This is the issue, and I shared last time, and I hope everyone can respect this. We hear people saying, why won't the district mandate masking? We're not sitting around being, totally ignorant to the fact that this is a hotbed issue. We eat, sleep, and breathe it. I know I got other administrators here. We talk it every day. We look at the statistics every day. I have folks emailing me, who are you relying on? I have weekly meetings every Monday, every single Monday with Butler County Health Services. We share, we talk about it. COVID is hot and heavy. I remember sitting here last year in a very similar situation. How dare you open your schools? How dare you? And we did. As others were bragging about finally opening in March and April, I almost wanted to say, what about us? We opened. Why? Because we're educators. We don't want to be careless. We don't want to be foolish. But the issue with masking is very simple. Why are you defying, and some people are claiming that, why are you defying or disregarding CDC, Pennsylvania Department of Health? Why aren't you listening? It is easy for those folks to recommend, but it's very difficult for this board and myself, and I know our solicitor will agree, to implement anything that we're not 100% convinced we have the authority to implement without a mandate or an emergency order. Some folks point to dress code. Okay. Dress code is different because I have it in front of me. It's very explicitly stated. It's in the PA code 12.11. Dress, I don't know why, I don't create the laws. Hair and dress, it's called hair and dress. May establish dress codes, and it talks about uniforms, students' rights for length of style or hair, clothing, and cleanliness. So the big debate in my little world as an educator is, and in the legal realm, even if we mandate masking, is it enforceable? That's the debate. And it's not a Mars thing. If it were mandated or emergency order, that provides our board, myself, the authority to implement something. It is not explicitly stated. And I see people rolling their eyes that don't like that. It's the truth. The authorities we're not convinced are granted to us. We already heard today, and I won't tell you where, but on a conference call, that there are already legal challenges about that. We want to keep everyone safe, despite those that don't think so. We want to keep everyone healthy. We did the survey. Why? Just again to try to get a pulse on what's going on. 75% to 25% were saying no masks. When you get into the high and substantial, it continued to be the majority were with no mask. We're trying to see, are there any parallels? But even if we had glaring evidence, and I know my solicitor's to my left, there's a real legal issue with enforcing a mandate. We can say anything we want, but it's an inherent right of children to come to school. And there's no case law on this. And it's not explicitly stated in the code like hair and dress. So to deny someone an inherent right to be educated and turn them away, it becomes that legal issue. To say we've struggled with it, and I won't speak for everyone, but I think I do, is an understatement. We are educators. So right now, our current plan is masks will be optional Those that wish to do that can feel free to do that. It's choice. Those that do not feel comfortable will not do that, because we do not want to put ourselves in a situation where we're mandating something where we may not have the legal authority to do that. Now, I'm sure there'll be a case coming up at some point where it's challenged, and that will guide us in the future. But we just want to get back in the business of educating students. Regarding quarantines, this may make some people happy or not. The CDC talks about masking and the importance when it comes to contact tracing. I don't want to punish the parents who choose to mask their children. So we had already talked as a board. If we get into contact tracing, those that aren't masks need to realize with the contact tracing, even if you're not symptomatic, we will send those students home. So we're going to recommend masking if you want to be absolutely guaranteed you won't be sent home through contact tracing. However, we also want to be aware of the fact that if a child is masked and they are next to someone who may be COVID positive who is not masked, don't want to punish the parents for making that choice. So we will not quarantine through close contacts any student who's in close contact who is masked. So that goes on the other side of the debate. You know, some of the folks are happy, oh, you're not requiring masking. You may say, well, wait a minute. That's the way we're going to approach this. Why? Because we want to keep schools open. We want to minimize the amount of students being sent home. We don't want schools to close. And I will admit, and I will apologize to my board and my solicitor for saying this, but I'm going to say it, and Mark Gross will own it. When drug use increases in communities, the first question in my 32-year career is hearing, how come the school's not doing a good enough job? When, for example, teen pregnancy increases, why is the school not doing a good job? And now I'm starting to hear, if COVID increases, why is the school not doing a good job? The masking mandate in Pennsylvania was lifted everywhere. I think it's not a stretch to say you can go just about anywhere right now, and we could give folks a false sense of security in saying we will mask so your children are safe. But the minute they're leaving here, a lot of those, not all, I'm not judging any of the parents here because you may continue to require your children to mask, but if we mandate in the schools, I personally believe it's a false sense of security because students are leaving here, getting together, and they're not masked. Prime example of that is outdoors and athletics, not mandated. So I can have students inside masked all day, but be across the line from each other playing a football game and breathing all over each other. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I will end by saying this. The frustration that I have as a superintendent is I'm an educator. I want to educate. I want to stay open. Don't want to harm anyone. We're going to allow it to be a choice. But the frustration that I have is all of those folks claiming that they have all these recommendations that are put in places and in governmental agencies to make decisions for the whole will continue to say up until this day, we will not be issuing mandates, only recommendations. So if you take that same philosophy from the state level, they're not mandating, they're going to allow it to be a district choice. Our decision is based on some of the legal concerns that we talked about earlier, coupled with the fact that if it's a local choice for districts, it should be a parental choice in school districts. If they can't mandate, then I don't feel comfortable that we can. We're not going to solve everybody's issues. We're not going to be making everyone happy. And I guarantee tomorrow the emails will flood us again. I will continue to say, if we are provided a mandate for an emergency order, this district is not stubborn. We will comply. We do not have that. And we do not have that statewide since June 28th. So I will go back to our safety plan and say in July 20th, when it was passed, it explicitly states, we will follow any and all mandates. We do not have those. So that being said, respect each other's opinions, respect that you're all parents, respect that you all want the best for your child. But most of all, please respect that we are here trying to do the best job that we can in this polarizing environment absent of mandates and emergency orders. I know Josh Schwobel's here, he's our communications director. We will get as much information out as possible starting tomorrow and trying to get folks ready for the start of the school year so we can get back in the business of educating students. And we will respect all of your choices, no matter what they may be. And again, I'll end by saying I apologize if folks feel, wow, I'm emailing the superintendent and board and they will not get back to me. I was sharing with the board today. For every attaboy I get, I'm getting, how dare you? So it's impossible to respond to all. But I will try to respond if we can, if things settle down. But that is where we are right now. I'm looking forward to our teachers coming back on Friday. They will have the very same option. If they would like to mask, they certainly can. If they do not want to mask, they do not have to. We will follow up with next Wednesday, welcoming all of our students, regardless of a mask or no mask. Very good point. Last thing I'll say, because there's a federal mandate on bus and transportation, we now have the legal authority, in our opinion, granted to us that students on buses must be masked. That is not something we can regulate. That is something that was provided to us. If anything changes from the state level, where we have mandates, we will follow those mandates. But right now, that's sort of where we're at. I don't know if any board members have any comments, but I'll leave it with that, and I'll end again. I'm at Mars. I'm happy to be at Mars. You're all good people, not patronizing you, because this situation is getting very ugly. And you've all been very, very respectful, so I appreciate that. And I just hope you can jump into our little world a little bit and see how complex this is just beyond the mask, no mask issue. It's very complicated, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gross. And thank you for all the time you put in moving us forward this fall. It's going to be a great year. On the other administrators, Ms. Brandstetter,
No, nothing at this time.
Mr. Lee.
I just want to thank the support staff, the custodians, the secretaries. I know the elementary building looks absolutely fabulous. So I just want to thank them publicly because they have really worked hard this summer to make it look good and get everything ready and all the organization. And I always say, the better job you do in the summer, the easier your school year is. And hopefully this year, without mask, no mask, and I'm not going to worry about that. I don't worry about that. It's up to you guys to do, but it should go smoothly. Very excited. The teachers come on Friday to get this train rolling down the road and get everything moving. The last couple of weeks are always hard at the end of the summer, but I'm very excited the kids coming in next week. But I just wanted to say publicly to thank the support staff and just the hard work they put in this summer. Everything looks great. And my former secretary Judy's here and she knows how hard it is to get that building ready. So I just want to thank them publicly. So thank you all very much. They've worked very, very hard.
Thank you. Adam, shaking your head pretty hard this summer. You're new to the scene, so you might as well say something.
I just wanted to thank everybody for this opportunity for this year of being the assistant principal at the high school. Everybody has been so welcoming and so supportive, and a special shout out to all the parents who've sent very nice emails that I've had in the past. So thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to starting the school year. We have our 9th grade orientation on Thursday with new students, and can't wait to meet everybody next Wednesday. So thank you again.
Thank you. Josh? Jim? Did I miss any administrators? I can't. Oh, that's right. She's at Dr. McMahon's at kindergarten. Who's on the board comments? Board members? Comments?
Yeah, hey, John, I've got a couple things I'd like to share. I really wasn't given an opportunity to comment while Dr. Gross was speaking. I do have a couple slides I'd like to share with the group relative to this mask or no masking situation. I appreciate Dr. Gross's position on the update that he shared with the group. I don't know if Jordan can, Jordan, is it possible for me to share my screen?
He's got his thumb up, so I assume that's a yes.
So I'm pushing the shared screen button. Okay, hang on, here we go. How we doing?
Good.
Can you see my screen, guys? Okay, so couple comments. I shared last time we were together. Can you hear me okay?
It's like 80%, but you're good.
Okay. I am very much a data-driven person. I believe in data, and it's got to be vetted data, but I do believe in data. I know there have been some perceived missteps by the CDC over this whole COVID pandemic, perceived missteps, and maybe some misinformation. Maybe their credibility has, I think there's no doubt their credibility has been impacted here. But I do believe that the data posted by the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics, they are all professionals. And I do believe the data they have out listed on their website is vetted and verified. Those health professionals are focused 100% on keeping the general public and our youngest members safe and healthy. That's their purpose, and that's their experts in how to keep all members of society safe. Both organizations have listed on their websites that their goal is to return students to the classroom and keep them there safely. And they've already documented the evidence of the negative impacts on children because of school closures and loss of learning time that occurred last year via virtual options that were available. So the first screen I just want to share is a notice on the American Academy of Pediatrics. It's very clear that what their position is regarding return to school. They absolutely believe that all eligible individuals should receive the vaccine. That's pretty basic, but we know that children 12 and under cannot be vaccinated. They're also strongly recommended that children 2 years and older, as well as staff, should wear face masks at all times. And you can read these yourself, but I think that the fact that this detail is listed here by this group should be enough verification and proof that there is medical confirmation that wearing a mask absolutely does provide protection. We know we have a large student of the population of the student body that's not eligible for the vaccine. It's been medically proven that masks reduce transmission, and it's going to be very difficult to monitor which students have vaccines and which ones don't. It's a lot easier to just have a masking policy that mandates everybody wear a mask. And if we need to, then we can COVID trace and deal with the students as Dr. Gross has proposed. But by making that optional, it makes things very difficult. And those that haven't been vaccinated can easily pass that along to those that are trying to stay safe. Does it mean that those wearing masks aren't going to pass it on? Because we now know that even people that have been vaccinated are catching the Delta variant. Our own high school principal is a perfect case of that, right? She was vaccinated back in July, and she's now tested positive.
Christine, I would not talk about personnel, please.
Well, okay, I won't, but I'm just saying we know plenty of people that have received the vaccine and are now still catching catching COVID. I just think that my point here with this is just to point out that there is plenty of proof out there from the medical
organizations that work in this area that indicate masking does make a difference and it's recommended for children in schools. They are also, the American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending the CDC COVID-19 prevention strategies. So when we switch to the CDC, their guidance is very clear. They're saying, hey, CDC recommends universal indoor masking for all teachers, staff, students, and visitors, K-12, regardless of vaccination status. They talk in great length about reasons for that and different strategies, such as promoting vaccination. Again, number 2 on their list is consistent and correct mask usage. I'm hoping the district has a plan in place for physical distancing. I don't believe, I'm not clear what, if any, testing is going to be done. I know we've spoken in the past about ventilation, hand washing, and respiratory etiquette, staying home when kids are sick and getting tested, contact tracing. Obviously, Dr. Gross alluded to that. There will be some of that going on, along with isolation and quarantining if needed. And I'm assuming that the district will continue with their disinfecting efforts that they followed all along. I think it's important that they continue to do these, and these are guidelines provided by the CDC. These are people that we've trusted for all sorts of information, whether it's from the time our children are born to vaccines to all kinds of health, whether it was to break out of tuberculosis or the Ebola Ebola situation that recently broke out. We depend on these groups for their medical recommendations, and there is no reason why we shouldn't be depending on these folks moving forward now. I just want to point out, as I think someone already pointed out, Butler County is now, this is Pennsylvania. Red is a high number. So that's a bad thing. Most of the state is turning red. We are in Butler County. We recently turned red, as someone alluded to. You'll notice that children 18 years or greater, 62% in Butler County have received their vaccination. Most of the adult population, 65 and older, has 86% have received their vaccination. We know that no 12 has received their vaccination. We still have plenty of students in our school that are going unvaccinated, and we need to be aware of that, and we need to do what's safe and what's best for the students in our district. We need to be focused on their safety. And while nobody's enjoying the pandemic and everyone wants a quick resolution, the fact that everybody is choosing a different avenue as schools start to open is not going to help eradicate this virus. We just need to rely on the data of the CDC and the AAP from their factual data, and we should be following their guidelines, and we should be looking at their mitigating strategies. I don't know who among us would be willing to have a doctor operate on them without gloves and a mask. The answer I always get when asked that question to people is that, well, yeah, they'd want them to wear gloves and a mask. And I'm like, well, it's always comes back to the importance of wearing a mask and keeping yourself safe. Why is it important that we keep students safe in the district? We need to use data and make informed decisions based on facts and guidance, in this case from health experts. Mars Area School District may consider deviating from masking mandates that other school boards have approved, such as North Allegheny and Pine Richland. That might give cause to a person stopping and asking why. What data is the board using to ensure the children's safety is a first priority? I understand that the state has not mandated masking, but my question back is, what have we done to make sure the kids remain safe? It has to remain a first priority. And why are the students in the Mars Area Schools District any different from the students in neighboring school districts? It would appear to me, based on the publications from those districts, they followed the CDC and the AAP guidance, and their focus is predominantly on the health of those students and the safety of those students. Because if we don't keep the kids healthy, they're gonna all be back home.
I am down in Dallas right now. This is the worst place they could be. The schools have been open for 2 weeks. There are no more ICU beds available for pediatric patients. They are sending them out of the state. School's going to open. The students will be coming back in Butler County. And within 2 weeks, my fear is we will find ourselves in a somewhat similar situation. And that's very concerning to me as a school board member. Doesn't matter whether I have students in the district or not. I urge the board to consider the safety of the students and put that first. There's no harm in taking the most conservative route versus a middle ground. Because at the end of the day, the most conservative route is the safest route. And I just wanted to have a chance to be able to get that information out. And while I respect each and every member on the board, I will not be calling you for medical advice the next time I need medical assistance. I will be calling my doctor. And that's how I feel we should, and why I feel strongly we should leave the dictating decisions regarding making or masking or not masking up to folks like the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics. Thanks for your time.
Is there any other board member?
Already preparing, just for getting us ready for another year of school. I know all of the work. I don't know all of the work that's involved in it, but I know there is a lot of work involved in it, and I appreciate it. And I thank you, and I'm excited to get into another year of school. So thank you very much for everything everyone's doing. The support staff as well, like Mr. Leif said, imperative to getting us ready. So thank you, everyone.
Anyone else at the end of the table?
I'd like to thank everybody, both online and here, and just in the last couple of weeks for all of your emails. Every single one of those, I will tell you, everybody here reads. We may not be able to respond to every one of them. You can think of it as a situation like this, to try to respond to every individual email and then have that information interpreted, put out, spread around people. It's very important that one clear message gets sent one time. And that's why we're doing that here. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I would assume that it would be very challenging, if you can imagine, to try to give partial information to a bunch of different sources. I will tell you that, my wife can tell you, I've probably spent no less than 24 hours this week reading every single thing that you folks have sent me, every link. And I will tell you that for everyone that believes one way, and your truth is your truth, and the way you feel is the way you feel, and that is real. But there is somebody on the other side who has their own feelings also. And as many times as we could say, decide this way because I feel this way, that other person is going to say, decide this way because I feel this way. I can only take it back to what Dr. Bear said, is if the medical professionals are willing to mandate a mask policy, we will follow it. But I don't know that I'm in a position to supersede their recommendation to give a mandate in the absence of their mandate. We're just not in a position to do that. I don't feel how we could do that. It was given as local control. That control gets passed to the parents. If there's a mandate, and that's what the health professionals feel that should be done, they pass a mandate, we'll follow it. But I will tell you, for everybody here, we are listening. It is a very challenging thing to sit up here because you want to help every person on every side. But there is no specific data that will totally support one direction or the other. Nothing that I can find. And everybody has their data. Well, I have my data. I'll show you that the other person has their data. I am very data driven also. And if there's not something that is good enough for me to say that I'm going to supersede what is out there, what the CDC will do, then I don't know what else to say. But that wasn't really the point. Thank everybody for their input. Everybody's input is important. It is taken into account. I couldn't come to the end to the result that we do. I will say, excited to see everybody come back to school for the year. I'm going to try to get you now. John, please, when you do your student counselor project, please send some pictures in. We'd love to see that posted in the e-newsletter. And just looking forward to get back to school and hopefully getting back to normalcy as best we can. So thank you all.
The other end of the table? All right, I will say thank you to all the people who do public comment. It does take a little bit of nerve to get up here and speak your mind. You are passionate and we are also passionate about what we do. Not every decision is easy. So we did have a closed session prior to this for legal and personnel. So I do have to announce that. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
This is Kevin, second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
Have a great night.